Today, I'm here with Stephen Kuhn. Stephen is a mergers and acquisitions pro and just really cool guy to be around, turnaround expert. I personally, just as a full disclosure, I've personally been in around and seeing Stephen's work for probably the better part of a year and a half now. So we're involved in some of the same groups, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show today, Steve. Let's just get
Sure.
started kind of where you started. Like, what got you into mergers and acquisitions? What's your background?
Well, it's sort of like this: mergers and acquisitions. I've probably been doing that almost my whole life without even thinking about, without even knowing what I was doing. I got my MBA back in 2005 in the UK. I was already doing deals, but I was doing them a little differently. And I would, you know, I was a business turnaround advisor, and I would actually go to the units or to the businesses and turn them around. And I would always say, well, give me some equity, right? And instead of just the payment. And most people would do it without even batting an eye, with a guaranteed sellout when I'm done, right? So that would invest. They're thinking, okay, this guy's invested in here. He's really going to help us grow the business. And so that was me already doing M&A without even knowing it. And then I guess it was over 2 years ago, I took the Harbor Club course with Jeremy Harbour in the UK. And on that weekend, I closed my first deal. On the second day of the course, closed my first deal. And then since then, I've closed. I mean, I think I have a total of 22 companies where I own equity or shares, and I usually get upfront fee for introductions to whoever. I get equity. I get sometimes a retainer for 3 to 4 months to set up the deals and make sure they flow. And then I get commission out the back end for anybody who I bring in who will generate sales or leads or whatever it is that they're looking for. And so I've turned it into like a niche, and I do quite well with that. And I sort of teach that. That's the key. The whole deal isn't what comes after they say, yes, let's do this. The whole deal is before that. And that means, like everybody says, building rapport. But what I say is you go in there, create space, focus on the only thing that you can control in any conversation, and that's the intention. What's your intention? My intention is to solve this person's problems and create value, right? How can I do that? I don't know how to do that until I know the entire story. And I mean, even the personal story. So I've had meetings with companies. 16 meetings was my longest one before we even talk numbers. But they're solid conversations. We're looking at a company right now. It's quite incredible, and it all came through conversations. So that's the most important part of any deal. And so it takes a special kind of person to actually care for real what that person wants. What's the issue that you're solving? What's the challenge they have? And can you even solve it? Sometimes, the thing that I do is I'll be like, look, let me get back to you. Give me about 2 weeks. So you have, I always tell the story about the Austrian company. They want to manufacture in America and sell to American government. So they need an American manufacturer, distributor, and a government contractor. And I said, okay, let me get back to you. I went over, didn't go over. I called my contacts, got one of each. I got the contractor, the manufacturer, and the distributor. And asked them what they could do, how many doors they have, what kind of revenue they think they can make, what would the cost be. And so I calculated, well, I'm probably going to bring them about $5 million in the next two to 5 years. And so I went back to him. I said, here, this is what I got. I got the manufacturer, I got a distributor, and I got the government contractor. Probably about $5 million in years. He's got 3,000 doors. This guy does this guy does that. He's like, holy shit, you did all that without a contract? I'm like, well, yeah, I wouldn't take a contract unless I knew I could solve the problem in the first place. The book that I wrote, Unleash Your Humble Alpha, that my co-author and I wrote, here above my head, we talk about certainty, right? Certainty allows you to let go of the how. If you're certain of whatever you're doing, you don't have to worry about how you're going to get there because your certainty will carry you there. And people buy into your certainty. They don't buy your product or service. And so when you realize this and you go into a deal, you go into a meeting, you go into anywhere, you do what we call create space. You show up just like I'm doing here. You show up wholly and fully for the person in front of you or the people with no preconceived notions, no cookie cutter solutions, and no expectation of a specific outcome. Two things about an expectation. You either have an expectation and you verbalize it and get an agreement, or you don't have an expectation. That's it. You focus on the only thing you can control, like I said, and that's the intention. Adding value, creating value by solving problems. And when you do that, it creates a space around everybody, the whole meeting and stuff. And we just sort of vibe and we co-create a solution that otherwise alone you or I would never come up with. That's why creating space is so powerful. It's probably the most powerful concept in the book. And I do that for so many people.
Do you
You know
think
what I
in
mean?
this day and time that's still needed occasionally? Like people need to see you be in your presence and get that not only just a handshake, but there's a vibe or
Yeah,
a
frequency.
presence, a frequency
Yeah.
or something that happens when you're in the same physical location as another human being.
Well, it depends. I mean, this was a company, the owner's over 70. So most certainly they need to see you in person. It's a family business, 70 some years old. Definitely want to see you in person. Want to hear what you're about, want to feel your vibe, see if you're going to protect your legacy, that kind of stuff. And we were in 30 minutes, we were done. And I'm the kind of guy, I literally walk in that meeting and I could care less if we close the deal. I don't even care because I know whatever happens in that deal is either going to teach me something that I'm going to do better in the next deal, or I'm going to get the deal. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And just that lack of want and need and wish creates an atmosphere of ease that they're just like, wow, these buyers are amazing. These guys, no matter what happens, find good meaning in everything. Have no against energy. No, not against anyone, and not against anything. And another thing is the you know the want energy, which is I want this, I want that. So when you say I want to buy this company, right, or I want to sell this company, or I want to make $1 million, that turns into, man, I hope I can make this. Oh man, I need to plan. I need to do this. What you're doing is you're giving it excess importance or excess desire, and what that does is it does this, right, and all the magic happens out here. Coincidences over here, coincidence, luck, new doors, new people, new situations, podcasts, all these kind of things, they happen out here. And if you're like this, you won't see them and you're going to miss it. And you're going to think that you're going in the right direction, but that's the direction you think you should go, maybe not where you should go. And so there's so many, there's such a, it's almost like a, what's the word? Teufelskreis, like a rabbit hole that you go down once you start understanding this stuff. And it's fascinating actually, because when you realize all of these things and we realize that our mind is actually controlling what's going on around us, and you realize that the only thing that matters is how you feel on the inside, and that the entire world mirrors back your energy towards you.
Inside of that space, knowing what you know now, the experience you have now, and this knowledge base you have now, what do you know now that you wish you'd have known like on day one, like when you first started getting into kind of buying businesses? So, you know,
I think it's all the information you have doesn't mean shit unless you have a relationship. Like you can know like I said, MBA, which is totally worthless by the way for me. But you can have an MBA, you can have all the degrees and all the knowledge you want, but unless that knowledge is applied, it doesn't mean jack. Right? It doesn't mean jack. It's just a bunch of words and stuff in your head. You got to apply the experience, and implement that into your life. I think if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have gotten an MBA. I wouldn't have gotten spent all that time in those certifications and all that kind of stuff, because I don't need any of them. I'm just doing what I'm doing. And I understand in some countries you got to have a certification, this, that, and the other, but it's just, yeah.
um, is there anything like we asked a lot of questions and stuff? If there's anything that you're thinking in the back of your head, man, we really should have covered this. People should know this about the M&A space around creative deals and stuff.
Well, the M&A space isn't all about, again, like I said, the M&A space it isn't all of the structures. It's not. And you go to any professional company, anywhere you go, the first thing you do is start talking about business. Let them do it. That's what McKinsey does, or whoever, Anderson or whoever they are, Ernst and Young or whoever. Um, but you, as a single person M&A guy, you don't have to be Joe Slick from the block or whatever. You don't have to be, the good sounding, good dressed kind of person. Always meet people where they are, of course, right? Don't show up in a disgruntled veteran T-shirt to a meeting with suits and ties, but be yourself and be authentic.